I still remember the smell before I even saw the town. Burnt pine, melted plastic, that thick chemical bite that never really leaves the air after a wildfire. They said it had been out for weeks. But when I got that call from the department asking me to do a final check just to make sure there were no hotspots left, I already knew I shouldn't have gone alone. The road up to Ashwood was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. Pines on both sides, all black sticks now. The ground was grey and soft, like walking on bone dust. It used to be a logging town, 30, maybe 40 homes, a gas station, one diner that did good pie. Now it was nothing but outlines, shapes, charred ribs of what used to be lives. They told me the fire started from a lightning strike. That's the official report anyway. But guys on the crew, they had other stories, said they saw lights in the tree line the night before it started, heard voices on the radios that didn't belong to anyone. And the wind, it came from the wrong direction that night. I told myself it was just exhaustion, hallucinations from heat and smoke. But deep down, I always wondered. I parked at what used to be the edge of town near the sign that still said, "Welcome to Ashwood," the letters half melted, warped like wax. Everything was dust and silence. My boots sank with every step. Every so often, I'd see something half buried in ash, melted glass, a kid's tricycle frame, a mailbox with no name left, the kind of things that make you feel like you shouldn't be walking there at all. I clicked on my radio. Static. Then a small burst, like a whisper. I froze. "Copy. Line 2. Anyone there?" It was faint, but it sounded like me. My own voice. I turned it off. Maybe it was just an echo from an old transmission. Yeah, that's what I told myself. The command post used to be the community center. The roof was gone now, but the walls still stood. I went inside. My flashlight beam cut through layers of grey dust. Someone had spray-painted a word on one of the remaining walls. "Still here." I felt my throat go dry. Whoever did that, it hadn't been there on the reports. Then I heard it. Wood shifting, like a floorboard creaking under weight. I swung the light toward the sound. Nothing. Just the remains of a doorway leading into a collapsed hallway. But the smell changed. Less of ash, more of wet earth, fresh, like rain had just fallen. That's when I noticed the footprints. Not mine. Small, bare, leading deeper into the building. The ash around them was still settling like they'd been made seconds ago. I called out, "Hello, fire department. Anyone here?" No answer. Just the wind pushing against the broken windows. Then faint laughter, a child's. It echoed down that ruined hall and faded like smoke. I took a step back toward the door. My instinct screamed to leave. But then my radio hissed again. Static then. "Don't go." Same voice as before. My own. That's when I realized something else. The air around me wasn't just still. It was holding its breath, like the whole town was waiting for me to move. I should have left right then. But the thing about firefighters, we're trained to walk toward the heat, even when it's wrong. So I followed the footprints. They led out the back of the community center, down what used to be Main Street. Ash fell like snow. My boots left black prints behind me. And then I saw it, through the fog. Light. Not firelight. Not a flare or my flashlight reflection. A warm orange glow from a window in a house that shouldn't have a window left. The Miller house. I knew it well. They'd never found the Millers' bodies. I took a few steps closer, and that's when I heard something that made the hair on my arms stand up. A dog barking. Low, deep, familiar. I hadn't heard that bark since the night of the fire. That dog had died, saving its owners, but now it was barking again, behind the same door it died in front of. And when I reached the porch, the light inside flickered, and I could smell something. Not smoke this time, not death. Dinner. Stew. Fresh. I remember whispering to myself, "No way." Then the door opened by itself. I stood there on the porch, staring into the glow spilling out of the doorway. It wasn't just light. It moved. Soft, gold, flickering, like firelight, but too steady. The kind of glow you get from a warm kitchen at dinner time. Only the Millers didn't have a kitchen anymore. I called out, "Hello? Anyone inside?" My voice came back to me smaller, thinner, like the house swallowed it. The air was warmer near the door, like stepping out of winter into a summer cabin. Inside, the hallway looked untouched. Walls clean, photos still hanging. One of them caught my eye. A family portrait. The frame was cracked, a little warped, but the faces were smiling. Mr. Miller, his wife, their little girl, and Duke, their golden retriever. That same bark I'd heard outside. I took another step in and realized the floorboards weren't burned at all. They creaked under my boots. I could smell food cooking, potatoes, carrots, beef broth. The smell wrapped around me like memory. I remember thinking, this is what ghosts of places must feel like. Then a voice from the kitchen said, "Honey, you're just in time." I froze. Every part of me wanted to leave, but something stronger held me there. I walked toward the voice. In the kitchen, Mrs. Miller stood by the stove. At least, she looked like her. Face the same, smile soft, but her eyes didn't move. They just reflected light, like glass. She ladled stew into a bowl and set it on the table. Steam rose from it. Then she said, "You shouldn't have come back, Daniel." That's my name. I hadn't said a word. Not over the radio, not out loud. No one in Ashwood knew I was coming. Hell, half the crew didn't even know I'd volunteered for the sweep. I stammered, "How do you know my—" And the lights went out. Instant black. No crackle, no pop. Just silence. I could still smell the stew, still feel the warmth, but the world around me had gone completely dark. Then I heard it again, that whisper through my radio. This time it was right beside my ear. "Don't stay. The fire remembers." A hand grabbed my shoulder. I turned, shining my flashlight. Nobody there. When the beam caught the table again, the bowl of stew was gone. The table was half burned. The walls were black. The house was exactly how it should have been, ruined, hollow, dead. Only one thing had changed: the photograph. Now it was just me in it, standing in the same place where the Millers used to be. I left that house shaking. The fog had thickened outside, glowing faintly like light trapped in smoke, and that's when I saw others. Figures, faint grey silhouettes moving between what used to be homes, dozens of them, going about their lives like nothing happened, carrying groceries, talking, walking dogs. Every one of them burned away in the fire, but here they were again, acting like time had never moved. And every so often, they'd flicker, vanish for half a second, then come back. Like the town was stuck on replay. I shouted, "Hey, can anyone hear me?" None of them turned, except one. A man near the end of the street, tall, wearing a firefighter's coat. The coat looked exactly like mine. Even had the same soot stains, same torn patch on the right sleeve. He just stood there, staring at me through the haze. Then he raised his radio to his mouth and said, "You shouldn't be here." Static cracked through mine at the same time, his voice echoing out of it. I looked up again, but he was gone. The whole street was gone. Just ash and smoke and silence again. That was the first time I realized I wasn't just seeing the past. Something was using it, replaying it for me, or maybe showing me what I refused to remember. I set up camp near what used to be the school, needed light, needed warmth. But the moment I struck a match, the wind shifted. It blew straight into my face, hard enough to snuff it out. Then I heard a whisper through the trees. "Not fire. Not again." That voice wasn't mine. It was a child's, and it was close. The trees beyond the road glowed faintly, as if the fire had never left their roots. Every few seconds, I'd catch the shape of someone standing among them, watching, and every time I blinked, they'd move closer. I radioed dispatch again, just static. Then, "Line 2 clear. He's still inside." A second later, I heard the same words outside my tent, repeating in a whisper. That's when I decided to leave. To get back in the truck, drive down that mountain, forget all of it. But when I reached the edge of town, the road was gone. covered in ash and flame stretching endlessly forward, and in the distance through the heat haze I saw headlights. My truck already burning. I stood there staring at those headlights, watching them shimmer and twist through the heat. The truck was maybe 100 feet ahead, but the air between us looked thick, like glass melting. I took a step, and the ground hissed. Ash shifted under my boots, glowing faintly red, and a low roar rolled out from somewhere deep below, like the forest was breathing fire again. I could feel the heat rising off the dirt, even though there wasn't a flame in sight. And then, all at once, everything was burning again. Trees that had been nothing but black stumps suddenly bloomed with flame. The road cracked open. The whole world turned that same orange I'd seen the night the town went up. But the strangest thing? I didn't feel pain. The heat brushed my skin but didn't touch me, like I was walking through a memory that hadn't decided whether it wanted to hurt yet. My truck's radio was still alive in the cab. I could see the mic swinging, hear a voice breaking through the static. Line 2 was copies, Ashwood still active. It was the dispatcher's voice, from that night, the night everything went wrong. I climbed into the truck, slammed the door, grabbed the mic. "This is Daniels," I said. "I'm alive. Do you copy?" Static. Then the voice came back. Exact words, exact tone, as if playing from a tape. "This is Daniels. I'm alive. Do you copy?" It wasn't answering me. It was echoing me. I threw the mic down and looked out the windshield, and that's when I saw them again. The people, the town, every house that had been gone was back, bright and perfect, lit from inside by candlelight. The main street buzzed with quiet life. A man sweeping his porch, 2 kids running by with sparklers in their hands. Their faces were blurred like heat waves, and over all of it hung a low, rolling smoke that never rose, just hung there. I got out of the truck and the world around me went silent again. Even the fire made no sound now, just flickering light. Someone called my name from behind me. I turned and there he was, the firefighter I'd seen before. Same coat, same soot, same torn sleeve. Only this time I could see his face. It was mine. He looked younger, cleaner, like the man I was before that night. And when he spoke, his lips didn't match the words. "You left us," he said. "I tried to save." He shook his head. "You didn't make it out." I took a step back, shaking my head. That's not true. I drove out, I got help. But behind him, the fire replayed the night I'd tried to forget. The propane tank exploding, the roof collapsing, the screams on the radio. I watched myself run back into a burning house, the Miller house. I saw the roof come down, and everything went white. When I blinked again, I was standing in that same kitchen, walls clean, stew on the table, photo of the family. Only now, the picture showed all of them again. And me, standing behind them covered in soot, smiling like nothing ever happened. The radio on the counter crackled to life. "Final sweep complete," my own voice said. "All accounted for." Then a second voice, soft, almost kind. "Welcome home." The flame on the stove caught again, burning blue this time. It spread across the walls, across the ceiling, until everything glowed that impossible color. I felt weightless, like the air itself was pulling me upward. And through the roar I heard every voice of Ashwood whisper the same words in unison. "The fire keeps what it needs." When I woke up, I was lying in the ashes outside. No flames, no town, just silence. My radio was still in my hand, melted on one side, and from it, faint but clear, came a child's voice. "Line 2 clear. He's home." I looked back toward the forest. For a second, just a second, I saw lights flicker between the trees again. Windows, people moving, the town alive in there somewhere, still burning in its own time. Then it was gone. I don't remember walking back to the road. One minute I was staring into the black forest, and the next I was just there, standing by my truck. The air had gone still, heavy. You could taste the soot. The engine was cold, like it hadn't run in years. I tried turning the key anyway, nothing, dead battery. But the strangest part, The windshield was frosted over. It wasn't cold enough for that, not even close, and written across the glass, traced in a trembling finger, were 3 words: "You came back." I stood there for a long time trying to steady my breath. Every instinct screamed to leave, to run, but I couldn't. It felt like the road itself was holding me there, like the whole forest was waiting for me to understand something. So I started walking again, down toward what used to be Main Street. Except it wasn't ruins anymore. The pavement was smooth. Streetlights flickered on one by one, glowing amber through the mist. And at the end of the street, under that same rusted "Welcome to Ashwood" sign, I saw a figure waiting, a woman, late 30s maybe, her hair tied back, wearing a volunteer's yellow vest. I recognized her right away, Lydia Harrow. She'd been the dispatcher that night. I'd talked to her on the radio while we tried to hold the fire line. She didn't make it out. But she looked whole now, calm, like the smoke didn't touch her. When I stepped closer, she smiled a little, the way people do when they know something you don't. "You did come back," she said softly. I nodded. "I don't know why. I just had to." Her eyes drifted past me, toward the town. "You were supposed to. You never left." I frowned. "That's not true. I drove out. I made it to..." But my voice caught, because the road I thought I'd driven down wasn't there. The asphalt ended just a few feet behind my truck, torn off like a cliff edge. Beyond it, there was only black. "You kept the fire alive," she said, "even after it stopped burning. Every time someone remembered, every time they told the story, it came back. It feeds on memory. You were its keeper." I shook my head. I just wanted to make it right." She stepped closer, eyes sad but kind. "That's exactly why it chose you." A deep sound started rising beneath us, like embers shifting in a furnace. The air shimmered again, and suddenly I was back in it. The flames, the smoke, the panic, the heat. The world folded inward, and I saw it all replay one last time. Me running into the Miller house, the ceiling collapsing, the lights swallowing everything. And then I saw what I hadn't before, someone pulling me out, dragging me through the fire, shouting my name. It wasn't another firefighter. It was her, Lydia. Only she wasn't alive then either. Her face had already burned. Her uniform was gone. She'd walked through fire to pull me out when she was already gone herself. That was the moment I realized I'd never truly left that night. I'd been stuck somewhere between, wandering the smoke while the world moved on. I looked at her now and she looked so peaceful. "You don't have to stay," she whispered. "Ashwood remembers enough." The ground around us started to glow, first red, then white, like coals cooling down. The trees faded, the road dissolved into dust, and in that silence, I finally heard something I hadn't since the night it happened. The sound of rain. It came down soft at first, then heavier, washing through the ashes. The fire went out. The smoke thinned, and as it did, so did everything else. The town, the lights, even Lydia. She took one last step toward me and touched my shoulder. "Go," she said, "before you remember too much." Then she was gone. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in my truck, the real one, engine running, morning light cutting through the trees. No fire, no ruins, no ash. Just the road stretching out behind me like it always had. But when I looked at my rearview mirror, the sign that used to read "Welcome to Ashwood" wasn't there anymore. The post was empty, just blackened wood and open sky. The radio crackled once, static. Then, faintly, "Line 2 clear." I turned it off and started driving. Didn't matter where, just away. But every time the wind shifts and I catch the smell of smoke, I still see those lights flicker in the trees. And sometimes, if I drive far enough, the GPS still whispers a name that shouldn't exist anymore. Ashwood. Thanks for listening till the end.